Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next part of the Promethean Directive Season 2 history. Once again, with me
December.
and we're starting this one with map number 8.
Yep, it's turn 8. A lot of things are happening, as you can see just by the general overview. We will start in Lomare, this time with Tofu Peck and Commonwealth.
Oh, yes, that surprise attack that we alluded to last
Yes,
time.
yes. This was a surprise attack, which actually genuinely took the Commonwealth by surprise, since on the previous map, they actually went for the bounty that was nearby, cleared that up in the first ever Tofu combat.
Yep. All their
And
fleets are
then,
stuck over here, here, and
yep,
then wherever else.
because currently Commonwealth is actually dealing with Sector 7 and Krasnar in what was meant to be a skirmish over where they're currently settled, since the only way the Commonwealth to get over towards Krasnar is through the little piece of land that they've actually claimed.
Yep.
As you can see, they were originally going to have a combat there. However, they quickly de-escalated that situation when Commonwealth had to go immediately back to the land. So they're out of position, and Skofupek actually successfully takes one of the two capitals, since Commonwealth actually has two capitals, since they are the Commonwealth of Merland and Remain.
Yep. But Cronhaven's the one that's, gameplay-wise, the main capital, and
Yes.
also their largest, although actually they do have two in-game capitals.
And of note is the reasoning was incredible, but it was basically quote unquote WMDs hinting at chorus bombs in
Yeah,
the Commonwealth.
we got a case of art imitates life here where they were saying there were WMDs because of some crazy intel shenanigans going on and some leaks and stuff like that where a lot of people thought someone was making chorus bombs, and I think they blamed Fedcom, even knowing that it wasn't Fedcom, as justification for this war.
Yes, there was multiple. One of the big reasons is they haven't actually been engaged in the chorus combat, but they are relatively close.
Very true. And one
And
of their fleets did fly this way, actually. This
yes, one of the
event thing
fleets
happened with
did
them.
actually go up. So there was thoughts about it, but I'm pretty sure from the Tofu perspective, they completely made this up, as far as I'm aware. They might have actually had reasons to justify otherwise, but then we get to the actual mess of the Chorus Collective itself, which is I don't know where to begin with this.
Yeah. I think the place to begin is Coastal Defense Fleet 1 here, which actually defeated Central Hive Node, if I'm remembering correctly.
I believe so. Yes, since it will show up on the next turn. But basically, Chorus lost a lot of combats, and a lot of left fleets were defeated here. Since you can see by the sheer number of just potential interceptions there are, and the amount of forces converged.
Yep.
Since they had some holdings in Aldria, but they were beaten off this turn, fended off even.
True, yeah, that did
And
happen this turn.
generally, Zaftra has now actually entered combat as well properly as mercenaries under Ionia or Aldria. I don't remember which. They might have also just been a pirate fleet, like a hunting fleet, counting Chorus as pirates, if I remember correctly,
Yeah.
which was quite fun. So that's a lot of what happens in a low meta. And then we have mid meta, where we have the Bunny Capital fight, which
Oh, yeah.
uh, had had a very cool craft and a very cool fortress, in my opinion, of a giant laser, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was fighting so many things, primarily Rumelia and Eon, as we can see.
Yep. And that,
Of note as well, if we look at the Bale Tower, there is a singular tiny bunny vehicle
which
on
is
it.
just a truck, I'm pretty sure. I think it's a claiming
It
truck.
okay, so what happened here is they sent a little truck over here, and it first of all, the bell tower is technically undefended here since Kayatari holds no allegiance to it, I believe,
Hmm.
or they didn't. I don't know. I don't believe there was a combat over there
I don't
since the
think
little
so.
truck there was just there for roleplay purposes of talking to Bale,
Hmm.
and it was an absolute just so many materials spent on taking down the capital. I'm pretty sure the capital fell,
It did,
but it
yes.
was a very costly fight from what I remember.
Yeah, it was close, and one of the things that led to some of the bad blood disagreement after this is that I made a ruling that they couldn't, so the bunnies, the people in their faction, designed new defenses and wanted to completely swap out everything that they had previously. But I said, hang on a minute, you can't just exchange absolutely everything because there's a rule that city defenses can't completely change immediately. They can completely change, but it needs to be several turns after that same battle. So what that meant was that I ruled that they couldn't swap out like some of their all of their small defenses for extra big defenses, so they still had to keep some of each, or they couldn't have all of the most updated version. And what happened is they said, okay, I'll take the most updated version of the big defense and I'll swap as many of the small ones as I can. And it ended up that the way the big defense was made, there was a bug or an issue with it that made it perform nowhere near as well as it could have.
Yeah. Also, we can see that course has been cleaned up over here.
Yes,
And
Damascus
more
is
importantly,
gone.
we can also see one of the high meta factions went all the way down to Remelia, this one being Mahabra, with the Heart of Lepredae and the Guillotine of Lepredae. It was a interesting roleplay interaction. I believe they actually lost this fight,
I don't remember
but
exactly what happened. I know
yeah,
that I think they fought somewhere in the middle with these guys with Hart.
I believe Sunstral lost, which is yeah, they fought against Sunstral with Heart of Lepredae. Meanwhile, the Mercy of Anan, Hazra, and Lepredae, as well as the Guillotine of Lepredae. I'm not sure if they fought on that one.
They wouldn't have fought. It was just a city.
Yeah, it was just a city. So something happened there. And then we go further up to the Voltavan Brotherhood, which is
Oh, this was another mess. This
this was
turn
another
took
mess.
so long to record everything for. I think.
Yes. And we also needed a bit of I'm not I know we needed like two breaks throughout the season, which was unusual, which we took an actual week between turns.
Yeah, and this might have been one of
And
those.
here we can see Mjolnir. I believe that's Crime and Punishment is we spell Weesvin.
Yes.
Then we have Uma over here as well with the first battle squadron. And then the Voltavans attacking on the capital. So I believe Voltava perishes this turn.
I think so.
Yes, they do. They do. They perish this turn. They don't do much of note for the rest of the game, but they do perish here. Now, over in High Meta, we have essentially one big bounty battle over by Zenixel with the Desert Liberators and the Wang Fang Asset Security Force.
Oh, yep, this one.
Yes. Now, of particular note, there is three factions. There's Zenixel, there is also Relic and Erewhon. This is of important to note since Erewhon and Relic aren't exactly friendly. So this is the first time you'll ever see them fight together. On top of that, Relic actually had to build a tech limited rate of a unit in order to actually build at my city and then fight on the next turn.
True, that's a good point. Yeah.
So they were tech limited to what I had, which was also quite fun and interesting. And in this combat, there was a giant mech with a
Yes.
nuclear bomb for its heart.
Classic.
Since yeah, it was pretty funny. There was a big combat there. As we can also see that I have completely failed on my attack and returned back to Gooseport, and I will now perish in 2 turns. There,
Yeah.
there is nothing I can do. There's stuff I could have done or asked others for, but I prefer the story of perishing. We can see everyone's completed the ring and is now mega. I don't know how else to put it then. Look at the size of Erewhon's cities versus Mahabra's cities, or even,
Or anyone else. The
or
names are so
literally,
large, the stars are so large.
like, for example, I mean, literally just their neighbors and people within their alliance. Thank you.
Yeah.
Or like a brick, which is the other economic superpower. Not even Newborn City is as large, and that one has a level 3 or 4
Semiconductor plant.
connector plant.
Yeah, and also the size for these is not linear either. So if this star is like I want to say it's maybe 50% bigger than Mabaraba, that doesn't mean it's 50% bigger. That means the city is probably like 2 or 3 times as large because I put in some exponential scaling for that. So
Yeah,
even a small amount bigger can be a huge amount of materials put in or currency put in.
yeah, and it's important to note that Erewhon is somewhat resource starved in its own particular lands, but because of its alliance, it's actually got a lot of access to nickel and fuel, thanks to Soat and Mahabra.
Yes.
Since Mahabra actually has a node being mined out in one of Zenixel's islands,
Oh,
which
okay.
is a tier 3. I believe it's a tier 3 alloy.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they're very well set up, and we can see on turn 8 alone, if you were to scroll out fully and then look at the size of everyone's ring versus
Anything else.
Relic.
Yeah. Throughout the season, there was a fair bit of people like copy pasting one of their fleets on top of someone else's fleet to compare the size. But either people didn't do that at all for Erewhon, or they did not do it near often enough. Otherwise, they would have realized that they were the ones who had the economy of the next like three nations combined.
Yeah. So, which again is a point of where the Black Empire is now gone. There was no real way to get people to compete in
Yeah,
a traditional warfare, and even in non-conventional warfare, which we'll see eventually, they were pretty hard to take down.
yeah. Nothing short of a
But
full alliance of nearly all the other high meta nations could have defeated them, and that wasn't going to happen when they were allied with two of them, and then another one was strictly neutral.
yes, in fact, two of the other high meta nations are neutral: New Bond and Fission.
Mm-hmm. True.
That will conclude turn 8, and we go on to turn 9. We're starting over at low meta again, as usual. Tofu has built another large fleet.
Oh, Flota Kobox.
Yeah, Floater Kovox, as we can see them push on from Cronhaven towards
Boulogne.
Boulogne, and the 3rd Cruiser Division Scarlet intercepts there, which they manage to actually fend off, Commonwealth does, which will destroy the fleets over there. So Commonwealth does get back pretty quickly, even though its primary fleet is still a turn out.
Yep. And I think did they build second cruiser Crimson this turn? They probably did.
Yes,
Okay.
they built it this turn in order to come back. Assumedly, they also thought that maybe I can't say it, but the airship one
Mm-hmm.
would go over towards the other capital.
Yes. Yeah.
We can see Chorus has actually lost a lot of its land because it has consumed itself in order to gain more money and materials.
Yeah.
Of note for this point in the game, and for the rest of the game, I suppose, is that Chorus at this point is building the Uber Bioform, which took actual months to build in game because of how large it
Yeah.
was.
It took
This
months
is
out of game. It took years in game to build.
Yeah, it took years in game to build and months out of game to build. And this is on top of it having, I believe, three collaborative builders. I know people were actually
At
paid
least
to work
three.
on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least three that I remember.
Yeah. And that was
And
a
one of
point
them were,
where we realized that with the amount of bad blood against Chorus, partly due to the things that they had done, partly just due to people's expectations, I was like, okay, it's time to wrap up the threat that is Chorus. And so I offered the deal of, hey, you don't have enough money to build this, but I'll let you have it if we make sure that it's the end of Chorus. And the Chorus team was like, yeah, we'll take that.
yes. And otherwise, we shall see that it's mostly fighting off the stragglers here with Aldria and Ionia. Geez, that's a tongue twister. SDF is doing just fine now, actually.
Yep.
And we can see the canal being used by the Grand Fleet to get around, since they are but a anarchic nation, so they will probably just pay to get by. Then we go over to Midmat, over in the southeast, where we can see the bunnies have been consumed.
Yep. They've just been left with an island.
They've been left with a island. Of note is that Mahabra is basically going to take the bunnies halfway across the world. Well,
Yes.
not even halfway across the world. They're going to go to the other end of the map.
Over to here.
Yeah, they're going to go all the way over to where the Black Empire was in the
Yep.
next turn.
And that's another case where they wanted to keep playing, but they hadn't won anything, and there was just enough bad blood down here that I was like, okay, we'll all help you move over to this side of the map. And Lions and the guys with that team were happy to help in lore with that as well.
Yep. Rumelia is basically making, I believe they're in talks with Mahabra in this point of time before Mahabra leaves. Otherwise, the southeast is now going to be a lot quieter now
For a
with the
while.
perishment of the Voltavan Brotherhood, as well as the Eon Bunny War coming to a close.
Yep, Voltava's mostly been taken out. All that remains is Jogoberg, and oh, we'll get to this attack later.
I want to talk about Jogoberg because if we scroll in on that, we can see a nuclear reactor on it.
Yes,
And
and a
this is
main.
where we get to more of the pain from Bongo, I believe, since
Yes,
Bongo wanted to both live and blow up a nuclear reactor.
He wanted to do a lot of things. He wanted to blow up a nuclear reactor. He wanted to hit Mjolnir with chemical weapons, and he wanted to hit the Bale Tower.
Hmm. Which, just to say, basically, two of those things would, I don't know, just be salt in the wound to spite people.
Yeah,
Because blowing
especially
up
if he wants to live
because
and
the
keep
belt,
playing afterwards. That was a lot.
yeah. Since if we go quickly back over towards the Bale Tower South, we will note that it's now surrounded by Voltavan units because it was undefended,
Yep, and the Valdavans are not there to defend it.
and they are not. Blowing that up would essentially, as far as I'm aware, basically kill two nations at this point.
It would, yeah, severely hurt the economy of both Eon and Wiesvin, with fallout affecting Kayatari.
Fallout affecting Kayatari, potentially even Remelia.
Yeah, and maybe these guys too. So, very
Yep.
bad thing. And
Yeah, if that would, yeah, and Jelgoberg would basically just ruin
an area
all of
around
this
here,
land.
yeah.
Yeah, as
And
well as the potential chemical warfare on Mjolnir, which would just be
more salt in the wound.
more salt in the wind.
Yeah, one thing
Which,
that had happened at this point is they did develop a system that would like be an ICBM defense for the home islands, which I believe did prevent this attacker right there. But they
yes,
had not yet extended that to Valero,
mm,
unfortunately. So,
since Mjolnir, with its large quantity players and actually very high quality in roleplay,
mhm.
had a lot of contingencies built in place to save them, so to speak, and also therefore the rest of the South. Voltava continued to be a pain,
Mhm.
not just to the players but also the game master.
Yeah, because I've got to
Um,
administer some of these results and then deal with all the complaints from other players. So ultimately,
yep.
the resolution, I was more friendly to the people who helped to try and stop Jelgoberg, and they got in there and were able to mitigate the disaster. And I allowed the people around here to form a coalition that would arrive last minute to try and save the Bale Tower, which was
Mm,
ultimately in vain. They did not succeed. Voltava did manage to destroy it in the end.
yes. And then finally, we will go, well, not finally, but we will go over to Relic and we will note something incredibly funny. They just built like 18 fleets, I think. I think 19 fleets.
Oh yeah, you
They
can
just,
see all the
they just,
stack numbers.
and they also all have placeholder names.
Yes.
Uh, so yeah, all of Relic is basically now consolidated. Even there is a single fleet now at Zenixel that's left behind rather than the three.
Mm-hmm.
So they scrapped them at my place and then
And one moved
left
over
with the
there too.
materials to go consolidate into one fighting force for next turn. Era 1 has got their units back,
Actually, I think that they
and
did have fleet names, but I think this was a turn where their special characters bugged out my code and I was tired of dealing with it, so I just named them fleets 1 to 20 or something.
okay, that'd be even funnier.
Yeah.
Because yeah, Relic is very special with its funny characters, which are totally not annoying to read.
They normally work, but the encoding that my code uses sometimes throws issues with some
Yeah,
letters.
like I can read Yggdrasil. I can't read the one that's meant to have like a VI this. It's besides the point.
Yurkajamor? It's,
Yeah, maybe.
yeah.
I'll quickly make a detour over to fissionistic contingents just so that we can note their what is it? Point Alpha and front of the decaying nexus, which are now relatively built up.
Yeah.
I believe there's also a really annoying thing here of the Bastion of Defense, which I don't think was meant to be allowed.
Yeah, I wanted people to put their cities far enough apart that they would never all engage in the same combat, which something like that, it's impossible to separate Bastion of Defense in front of the decaying nucleus. Up
Yes.
here, this would be possible, but a little bit difficult because they're, I think, the engagement range in diameter apart.
Yeah, they're at
But
least
yeah, stuff
that
like that,
much.
and then I think Brick and maybe some others even did the same thing of trying to put cities stacked.
So we'll just quickly note that. Then we shall go back over to Zenixel and therefore the Sandstorm Horde as well.
Yep,
As you can see, I am now.
and
They
then
attacked my
attacking these
capital
ports.
again, and I am absolutely destroyed in this.
Yep.
They even take Swan's Roost because that is a city.
Yep.
And although I got lucky in having one of my
Precision
anti-air units
guys.
fight, I was essentially wiped out
Yeah.
out on my capital area.
Yep, at that point, the only units left were down on this little island here.
Yeah, the only ones left were the prototype walker, which I salvaged out of the destroyed mech,
Hmm.
as well as my Marine Corps, which were almost lived the entire game, and I was very sad that they didn't.
Yeah,
But we can see that Sandstorm Horde is doing very well. And of particular note, I have a lot of these places mined out. They're not owned by me, but they are mined out. And if they plunder it, they get a bunch of the resources while destroying the thing.
true, yes.
And I have a lot of high quality nodes.
Hmm. Very true, yeah. The bigger the icon on these, the better the quality. You can see those are
Yeah,
a lot bigger than this guy.
I basically have a bunch of tier 3 nodes, or which when you would consume, you get a bunch of just one time. And at this point, Sandstorm was dealing with fuel problems as well. And of particular note is where the prototype walker is, there is a ton of tier 3 fuel nodes.
Yep.
I actually managed to kill the fuel economy thanks to Relic.
Yeah,
Since
you
we,
and Relic had the most fuel out of everyone.
yeah, and my ships were fuel inefficient because of all the up props and everything, but I was still able to use it
Hmm.
because there is, I believe, five tier 3 oil nodes here.
Something like that, yeah.
And Relic was invested heavily early on extraction, so they were extracting a ton of fuel as well.
Hmm.
I believe that'll be it for turn 9, and we go to turn 10, where is a very big important note to caveat this with. Bale is evil.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, this is technically starting over in low meta, where we have NGO Bale now suddenly moved.
Yeah,
But
from down here.
one of the event helps, Kumo, would return to us. And after the Bale Tower was destroyed, they told us of what would happen. And we would get into a bit of a problem because now the entire game is on a timer, but a much shorter one.
Yes, the Bale Towers, which had previously been offering nothing but rewards to those who owned them, were now preparing to start spewing out and trying to terraform this entire region into something completely uninhabitable for everyone except for
Mm.
the slimes of the Bioatmospheric Extraction League.
Yes, there was a lot of basically the entire world would get Evangelions.
Yes.
This
So Bale
uh
withdrew to their subject, who is still in that
yeah.
status, which is Tehuapec, to try and weather the coming storm, as everyone and their mother tried to destroy them.
And by everyone and another, I do literally mean every nation. Of particular note here is that a lot of the event help is now being grinded through
Hmm.
at this point in the game. Fally was one of our strongest event helps and was being absolutely butchered.
Yeah, was
Um,
extremely overworked and crashed out
they
worse than most.
this yeah, they had done this entire map as a code to actually be usable. Well, not the
To be
they put it
interactable in a
online.
website.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the interactive website. Um, Further, Gumo was meant to handle a lot of the event factions, but unfortunately was taken away from us. So they only really got to us intermittently and wasn't really here for the whole season.
Yep.
And Bale was meant to be one of their factions.
Yeah.
In fact, this whole Bale Tower thing was meant to be a late game occurrence.
Hmm. That just got sped up because of people's real life schedules with the tower destruction as a in-game explanation.
Yep. So I believe Graver's here. He's absolutely in the minds of all the archaeology.
Yes.
We haven't mentioned it, but over in the Mina Island, there is the Mina mine ruins, which has he's been going through turn by turn, every turn
Yep.
since Mina, essentially. There's also the thousands of spy actions. Well, it's a bit of an exaggeration, but at least most nations will do at least a spy action a turn.
Yeah.
And some of it can get quite specific and require a lot of thinking on how to actually implement it,
Yeah. Some of those
as
spy
well as just
actions were like a 2 minute thing. Some of them would take an hour to resolve.
yes. For example, assassination plots completely different from hey, where's this guy's navy going?
Yep, and some of the requests are easy to answer. Some of them, it's like, okay, you want to know where this fleet is moving, but they haven't entered their movement yet. So do I need to
This
ask them where
happened.
it's going if this person should succeed, or
This
how the heck do
happened
you
to
manage that?
yeah. This specific scenario happened to me multiple times where someone didn't enter the coordinates until later, and so I just told them, "I'll let you know when I know," and then it was just like, okay, they never input it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Oh, this is the turn of a
uh,
lot of happening, actually.
there is a
I'm
lot
looking
happening,
around.
uh, but to focus on Bale specifically,
Okay.
Mjolnir will lead a coalition uh, against Bale in this case. This was a mistake because everyone, I did not see a worse coalition in terms of sheer frustration at each other. Uh, Particularly headed by Krasnar, butting heads with Mjolnir,
Yeah.
as well as General. So Zinixal, Commonwealth of Merlin and Romaine, as well as Zaftra and Krasnar, were originally had an impromptu coalition to go kill the out of Tofu and Bale,
Yep.
which then had to get reined in by Mjolnir coming in and taking the reins. On top of this, Brick was in there. Brick wanted to enter the fight early, as in they wanted to go in immediately because they had a force in range.
Yes.
But they stayed the hand due to Mjolnir and everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't including what's going on in Tofu Peck. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll quickly go over to Commonwealth. Commonwealth manages to retake the capital,
Yep.
and then Zaftra is in range to go to Tofu this turn. And then what's happening in Tofu Internal is I don't know how else to describe it then.
Other than glory to slime Hitler.
Yeah, Glory to Slime Hitler is what immediately comes to mind, followed up by betraying Slime Hitler.
Yeah, they
By the
they
way,
they committed their
by
undying
the
loyalty
way,
to slime Hitler and then stabbed him in the back one turn later.
yeah, by the way, in character roleplay, Zinixel's dying right now, and they're asking Tofu to not bow down to Slime Hitler.
Yeah.
You know, long-term allies to each other.
Yep.
They don't listen to them. They instead listen to themselves, which they don't after gaslighting themselves. It's it's a mess. We're going to slightly go out of order at this point, instead of like low meta, high meta.
Yeah.
But focusing on Bale, they cross over a bunch of Sector 7 land. They kill a bunch
Yes.
of Sector 7 stuff, but of
Yes.
note, a Sector 7 Waffle House manages to kill like a couple drills.
Yeah, I think in Port Caledonia.
Yeah, Port Caledonia with Alknos reinforcements. So Sector 7 took the immediate brunt of all the Bale forces going out, essentially, since they moved a giant floating city over them
Yes, Bale
and
had a
also hit.
ton of
Yeah.
capacity here because they just been farming tons of money at the beginning, so they had a ton of forces.
And the most important note as well is that Bale is just all resources that the players put into the NGO at this point.
Yeah.
That's just how much trade has been going through Bale in terms of paying for extraction and resource.
And the towers too. They made like a 50% profit on every tower that they built, for most of them.
Mm. Yep. And so Bale is mostly consolidating uh, over Tofu. We have the giant city hovering over Tofu. We'll get back to that next turn. Uh, Thankfully, at this point, Aldria, Ionia, and SDF are quiet. And we will
Yep.
also note there's a new color at SDF,
Yes.
which is what is now known as Castle's Chosen with New Rodina, which immediately has a nuclear reactor and refinery.
And yeah, nuclear reactor and nuclear enrichment.
Yeah, nuclear reactor, nuclear enrichment, which is ridiculous, but they don't exist for much longer in the game. They don't actually do anything else of import,
Yeah.
other than, I guess, Aura Farm. In medium meta, everyone, again, everyone's going towards, coincidentally, a lot of people going towards Vale.
Mm-hmm.
Rumelia has a specific note here because one of their characters got slimed, and not killed, as in actually turned into a slime,
Yes.
and has begun trying to shut off the Bale towers, and
Yeah.
has sent a force over, or has sent in a roleplay force over to the first Bale extraction tower that has been
Yep.
damaged by. uh, Bongo.
Hmm.
They actually get a Sector 7 vehicle to fly really fast to places. We also get a really ill-timed relic,
Sneak
quote
attack.
unquote, sneak attack. The sneak attack was so sneaky that Relic's demands were clear.
Relic's demands were very clear.
Yeah,
That will be one of the highlights of the quote review if we ever get to that.
yeah. Relic's demands were so clear that the sneak attack was not anticipated by anyone, totally, other
Yes.
than Erewhon, who just sat in their castle.
Yeah. So all those fleets that they built last turn, which were all pretty small vehicles, got split up between all three factions of the North
Yeah.
Spoke.
So these 20 vehicles all went to try and claim resources to try and cut off the head of the, well, cut off the logistics, so to speak. Not counting for the fact that there's the three nations at once. Most of it hit sort of the ecclesiarchy, and then a smattering of it went towards Erewhon and Mahabra. While they were successful in claiming a bunch of resources, they don't hold on to it.
Yes.
And again, they're one person trying to fight three nations at once with sneak attack. If they had focused all their forces onto, say, just sort of the ecclesiarchy, there might have been the capability of actually doing a defeat in detail, so to speak.
Yeah.
But they managed to overextend themselves.
Yep. And doing a 1-on-3 is hard in the best of times, even harder when one of them is the most economically powerful nation on the map.
Most economically powerful, and they also have just really solid vehicles, even though you could call them boring.
Yeah.
They are just, missiles work, man.
Well, they also didn't just do missiles because they overused
No, they
missiles in
didn't.
the beta.
No, they didn't just do missiles. But what people remember most is the particle theory, which was
Yeah.
just missiles. But they just had mono specialist vehicles rather than that.
Very true.
Fissionistic contingents starts freaking the hell out, I believe, as well in roleplay terms.
Yep.
And then we go over towards Sandstorm Horde and the new bunnies.
Yep. Who got moved up here to try and take a role of counterbalancing Sandstorm now that Black Empire's out, and to give them something to
Yep.
do still.
Yep, give them
Relieving their
something to do
roar.
still because otherwise they'd just kill me and have nothing to do for the rest of the game. I lose Falki and they consume basically the rest of my area.
Yep. All
I
of the
have,
North Falls, leaving just this island.
yep, I moved the prototype walker to intercept between Glass Estopol, and I joined the coalition against Bale, so I moved my frogs over there.
Yep.
So despite me dying, I wanted to try and save the world.
Which, for the record, absolute Chad move to know that you are going to die fighting the war that you had fought, and we're like, my forces are better off spent fighting Slime Hitler.
Yeah,
That
Chad
just
move and all, but it doesn't pan out for me.
not exactly, not the best.
No, exactly. So turn 10, a lot happens. We will now immediately go to turn 11, where Bale dies.
Yep.
Yeah, so all that build up for Bale, Tofu Peck, thanks to their just ginormous city and fleets, actually
Yes.
managed to take down the
Bale.
Bale floating city,
In
which I
a
also remember there being a problem with wanting to drop the city on Tehuapec.
yes, Bale let me know that they wanted to just drop their city and turn Tepetl Altepetl into a crater, and I was like, interesting idea. No, you can fight it, but that seems a bit overkill for a pretty much
Just
zero warning city.
insta-killing a
Yeah.
player, essentially. Since to note is that Tofu's still in a war
Yeah, they're
with
fighting Merlin to remain, and
four
because they're a subject
people.
of Bale, they're against everyone.
Brick is justified in just wanting to go for the kill, by the way. Relic is also in this fight, I think. Question mark.
Yes. Yeah, they've got two fleets over here.
And my frogs just basically go claim a bunch of random stuff.
Yep, claiming stuff
There's
in
a
the
giant fight
hinterland.
over Kobox. I don't believe that goes well.
No.
Um, So yeah, Bale is slain, but Romelia still proceeds to go ahead, go around the place, turn off the towers, and will then, begin doing some other stuff as well.
Yes.
Out of character, again, Tofu kills Bale out of character. That is incredible. Um, Going further down to Aldria and Ionia,
Yep.
we will see
And
that
his
the
thief.
Sea Dogs Fellowship is now the independent Silver
Silverwater
Wolf
fleets, yeah.
fleet. Yeah.
Uh,
And Voltava's still there.
yep. So yeah, the Silverwater fleets. This is because Spoon wanted his faction to go back to more of its roots as a bunch of disorganized pirates and factions and whatever. So he does a rebrand where he'll gradually retake his territory and coalesce into a number of factions that are separately aligned and can therefore do more of their own thing and get involved in
Yes.
some of the pirate fighting that he wanted to do at the start.
Chorus has rescinded more of its land and has begun building up where Hive Outreach 1 and Hive Node 4 is.
Yep.
So they've completely basically ignored their central node. Aldria and Ionia finally have a turn to actually just be economic.
Yeah.
So you can notice there's not a bunch of moves taking up a bunch of their fuel that they no longer have to purchase. They're still moving to prepare for potential whenever the Uber bioform is done.
Mm-hmm.
In mid meta, it's finally quiet. I mean, I guess the bunnies lose the tiny island they had over here, but it's finally
Yeah.
quiet.
That gets fade over, I think, by treaty, less by conquest.
Yes. Melia is going on main character side quest.
Yep.
It is quite incredible. The independent cargo ships, we've never mentioned it now until now, but they're just north if
Uh,
you want to look up in the islands by the Yumas.
oh. There we go. Yeah.
Yep. These independent cargo ships were frozen for a long ass time. Uh, because they got stopped because of the chorus bombings, if I remember correctly.
Uh,
But because of how overworked our team is at this point, they've not moved for several turns, and we're
yeah.
just stuck in customs for the rest of the game.
Yeah, so like them, the pirate home fleet over here, I think.
Yeah, the
Um,
pirate home fleet, a bunch of the
the Forgotten finally got deleted instead of
yeah,
Forgotten.
finally got deleted instead of they were stopped being forgotten, but they were just killed instead.
Yeah.
Hmm. Deary me. Um, I kind of want to mention the No Centrum and So Centrum
Mm-hmm.
archaeologies were kind of put on pause thanks to this giant war and Bale.
Yeah, the more wars there were, the less archaeology I managed to do. And the archaeology that I was doing was all the center of the map lore stuff with regards to that giant pit and the towers and everything.
Yeah, so this giant pit that's been active since turn two is been unexplored. This includes the Penguin Preserve and Rehabilitation Center just still being there.
Yep. Also, I don't know if anyone ever noticed, but the towers change their number every turn.
Yes, since they
Just
were
for fun.
randomized upon input.
Yep.
So, and we finally get to the mess that is more of relic combat,
Oh, yeah. So all their
where
previous fleets either got mopped up or just had more battles, and then the counterattack happens.
yeah, everyone does a counterattack on the smaller cities that can't fight back with just their I believe it's like
Claiming
a
vehicles.
M113 that's hovering around with like a couple of mannequins in it.
Yeah, it's got like six mannequins in a hoverboard.
Yeah, the hoverable. So just incredible.
Yep.
Um, they do they try to fight at Stigmata, and I believe they get absolutely crushed. Of note is that Commonwealth of Merland and Romaine is actually coming to help Sword of the Ecclesiarchy in the fight against Relic.
Oh,
So we can see the
yes.
Grand Fleet and the Armored Guards are coming around since they made a deal a while ago. There is there is a lot of combat. Vision has even moved some vehicles since Erewhon is
Yes.
actually since Relic and Visionistic's in an alliance, and where the previous turn Visionistic was freaking out. Erewhon decided to pull the trigger early to try and snipe some stuff from them, which is primarily just some fuel and uranium, I believe.
Hmm.
They're yeah, very it's very tiring. Then we have dust bunnies. Dust bunnies, we can have happiness over here,
Yeah.
as the dust bunnies have begun setting themselves up and will soon begin combating Sandstorm Horde proper. Sandstorm Horde is consuming the rest of my cities, and this is where I die.
Yep.
Of
They.
note of my death, I finally join event help.
Yep. There's a final climactic battle between Dredge and the actual queen.
I
Some other
decided to
class.
put the actual queen as the commander of my first and only battleship I built in this game with one of my new members.
Yep.
Unfortunately, three dragons were spawned in and flamed me to death with 300 firepower worth of flamethrower.
Yeah. It was kind of bad. The queen got. Yeah.
Roasted alive.
Yep.
But good news, one of my faction members does flee over to Commonwealth of Merland and Romaine and builds for them.
Yep.
I I was absolutely annihilated. The prototype walker got slain by just a second wave tracker,
Hmm.
and I believe third wave shriekers. There was a lot of materials coming down my way. I could not witness war of attrition.
Yeah.
Otherwise, my frogs remain alive, and that was all I needed.
Yep.
And I decided to give them over to Tofu, I believe.
Yeah.
This was a mistake.
It went. Yes.
Oh yeah, my particular note for Erewhon is Erewhon promptly beats Relic to death while the other two in the coalition wake up. Which is to
Yeah.
say, So and Mahabra wake up.
Yep. Yeah. We've yet to have the Battle of Yggdrasil, but that will happen, I think, next turn, maybe.
Yeah. They don't uh there's not a lot of big combats for Erewhon yet. But we go over to turn 12 now. And Bale is kill. So all the towers are now inactive, so anyone that was previously benefiting from them no longer does. But
Yep.
I don't believe they're suffering from the downsides either at this point.
Correct. Yeah. I
And
believe this is where I also began a. So, to deal with the toxin that came out of the towers, I ran a research project that a bunch of nations contributed to, all the way from Ionia to this cluster and Meowtier and some of the high meta nations. Everyone threw in money and resources, and with that, they each turn gambled to see if they could get a 1 in 1,000 chance of synthesizing a thing that would defeat the toxin, and they finally did it. But it took a lot of effort and a ton of money got poured into a
yeah,
lab kind of
actual
turn.
trillions? Potentially more than trillions. A lot was put into it.
Yes.
And that cleanup would last throughout the game, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, there was some stuff that Eon, I think, did try and repurpose it and make it more friendly because they're a weird kind
They're
of
evil.
biologic hive mind that could get some benefits from it and
They're
stuff
a
like that.
weird crystal biological hive mind.
Yes.
Okay, going over to tofu. They are being eaten piecemeal by everyone.
Yes.
Yeah, you can see a bunch of people. Okay, so the first cruiser division and then the second cruiser division are here to basically make sure Tepetal, Alta Petal, is beaten into the dirt despite not being crushed.
Yeah.
And Sector 7 has done a billion people going into it. This is including, by the way, the actual like four spy actions I had to do against Tofu every turn for about 6 turns, which I believe they got dirty bombed like 3 times. Tofu did.
Yeah, I didn't even track like half of those myself, but it was.
Yeah, so there was a terrorist attack on a fish fried fish stand. There was an actual dirty bomb. There was a dirty bomb hand grenade done by accident because Cringe didn't realize what the uranium was for in his own spy action.
Yeah.
Um, there was also
Crazy
there
stuff.
was
Like
there
looking
was
at Tofu on this turn, it is hard to imagine that they would not be dead within like a turn.
yeah, especially when you consider everyone else. But Tofu, Tofu was blessed with the gods and cursed by them at the same time.
Yes. for sure.
Ione and Aldria proceed to grab more of the land. ISF is still building up.
Yeah,
Uh, Valtava is now known as Castle's Chosen at this point, I believe.
I think so.
Not that it would show up here, but they do begin worshipping Castle. I believe one of Castle's members were put in a chrome ball and pushed into the ocean.
That sounds like something
I,
he would do.
I'm pretty sure that is literally something that happened, and we're gonna ignore that.
Yeah.
And we can see Rumelia makes a really big leap all the way back from Capitol Hill
Oh, yep.
to Verhan with quote unquote the best gift disarmed over Verhan.
Yeah. Well, actually, all the way from Mabaraba up here,
Yeah, because they're now
prompting a
using
possible
peacetime.
incident where it should have gotten shot down because
Yes,
it
this
drove
is
them over.
actually this is a particular note here since this should have been shot down here, but this was carrying the slime leader who turned off the bell towers to reactivate them.
Yeah. So we ruled that the leader of that flight would probably not be absent-minded enough to fly over the Eye of Winter and get everyone killed. So he was allowed to
Yeah,
live.
yeah, which we can now see that they're in the best gift disarmed because the
Yeah.
best gift used to be a plane. Um, but otherwise, it's going to be very quiet in mid meta for now.
Mm-hmm.
As we just go over to Relic and the absolute cluster.
Mess that is the Battle of Yggdrasil.
Now, I just want you all to look at this and look at the amount of fleets here. There are 4 nations here. Technically 5,
More
but
than four, yeah.
yeah, there's technically 5 here. I'm discounting Commonwealth, even though I shouldn't, because they are low meta fight punching up into high meta.
Yes, which is
But
crazy.
we've now reached the point of the game where I believe you are thinking of adding a cap to
Battle
combats because
size.
this is ginormous.
Yeah, in fact, this battle was run in quarters. We split up each side into a quarter the size and then ran 4 battles.
Yes, since there is effectively 3 nations worth of slots filled up here,
Mm-hmm.
since a bunch of Mahabharata stuff is split into tiny forces to go be scavengers across the world, and so is similar in that regards. And
Mm-hmm.
Erewhon just has so many resources that
All of their
they
fleets are
can just
huge. Yeah,
all of their fleets are huge,
all the ones that they want to be huge.
and they go ahead.
Oh yeah, and this was also I think when I was on vacation briefly and needed other people to run battles. So this one
Yes.
I'm not as familiar with myself, but we also saw stuff like an attack by Fissionistic
So
on.
Fissionistic contingency here sent off a couple of WMDs
Yes,
carrying a specially devised one against Erewhon.
yes. They did an
Now,
expensive special project to develop a thing that was called the Rust virus,
yes.
which specifically corroded the robots that made up Erewhon.
Now, of note for this specific virus is that Erewhon did not actually do any spy actions or investigations into how to counteract it themselves. They
Yeah.
just took it on the chin.
Yeah, and they were losing like entire cities to it and
They
just
were
did
they
not need
lost
to care.
actual trillions in
Yeah.
the cities.
Oh yeah, here's the point to note. So the ring also turned into yards, meaning that they can both produce vehicles and that they get more defense budget because the city has no
Yep.
defense budget. Yards have like 50%.
Yes, and they were not yards in the previous turn.
Yeah. Or
Well,
no,
they were
I
yards in
think bases
some of them
probably,
were
probably
yards in
not
previous
bases.
turn, but one of them they were finally all converted this turn.
Yeah. Which meant suddenly they had another case of pop-up defenses that caused issues.
Yes. So we have pop-up defenses here. If we quickly look over at Fissionist, did you see we can see so many bastions, and I don't like it.
Oh yeah, bastion of industry, economy, defense, diplomacy, trade,
Trade.
intelligence, and more.
Yep,
So similar
a
issue.
bunch of them. Similar issue. And it I apparently called this the high meta I'm not gonna say that word, flattening. The high meta flattening begins.
Yeah.
alongside the note that at this point, Northern Spoke cannot be really dealt with in a traditional way, and despite a targeted WMD of the Rust virus, everyone will survive and rebuild despite losing trillions.
Yeah, this marks the beginning of multiple turns of WMD attacks, both conventional nukes and Rust virus against Erewhon
Yeah, I need
to
to
varying
state that
degrees.
this is multiple. This has been built up over 11 turns previously of nukes being launched at Era One.
Yeah.
And we can. It was a mess. But good news, we have bunnies.
Yep.
We have our saviors, the bunnies over here, who are beginning their ginormous army to go fling into Sandstorm Horde after Sandstorm Horde finishes eating me and a bounty,
Yep. Bounties down
and
there.
then they're gonna go back up.
Yep. As they consolidate their hold on this island chain. And
Yep.
there's also, either this turn or soon, there begins to be an effort to try and neutralize the ravenous hunger that feeds the Sandstorm Horde.
Yes, rather than on turn 3 or 4 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's now turn 12. There's only like 7 more turns realistically in the game.
Yep.
Um, that will make, as we know, as everyone begins to get hemorrhaged in the late game, the turns will go by a lot quicker.
More or less. Anything else for this one?
Yes. I don't believe there's any other notes. I'm personally just looking at Relic again, but there's no notes to be made there.
Yeah. Just a great, crazy battle. Yeah, nothing's begun to hit Visions of Contingents yet.
Yes.
On to
Yep.
turn 13, you
On to
see
turn
Relic is
13.
gone. Yggdrasil
Relish
has fallen.
is relinquished from life.
Yep.
Um, yeah, well, while we're at Relic, we'll start there. Um, of note, while the Alliance does go towards fusionistic contingency, if we look to the left, they're also doing a bounty at the same time to get more money.
Yes.
That's just how strong this alliance is.
Yeah, they can casually hit massive bounties while death stacking someone's capital.
Yes, since the singular coil installation one here is not a small bounty,
Hmm.
but again, the alliance is just that large.
Yeah, we saw similar things honestly in season one, up in the deposit area, where the biggest alliances could just totally take out a bounty mid war, just to make some extra cash.
Yep. And we will also, again, more units come out of Era 1. We'll actually take a look at Era 1, and we'll see that none of the hold on, did the yeah, two of the WMDs actually hit one of the outposts.
The south and
Yeah,
east outposts, outpost one and 2 and 3, I believe.
yeah, outposts 2 and 3. They get sniped, and there is still more
Yep,
coming
you
in
see
on this turn.
more nuclear squadrons coming in, and then the Anoles as well, out of
Yeah,
this carrier group over here with the Wall of Ash.
yes. The Wall of Ash. The good news is Fusionistic does have incredible endurance for their vehicles since they are nuclear powered. But as
Yes.
soon as their capital here, which is also a giant death laser, which was really cool to see in combat,
Yeah,
they almost won this combat actually, but they
it
did
got close.
lose.
Yeah.
It got very close.
Yep, and when you've got all your eggs in one or two baskets, as they did with Front and with the port on the coast there.
Yeah, since this is going to be the theme throughout the rest of the game is death stacking,
Yep.
which was just unavoidable since there's only so many. Everyone actually had the resources to have multiple cities spread out, but a lot of other people did not have that resource. And even for Brick only has one built up. Uh,
Hmm.
since they technically have 2 or 3 built up, but for the most part, it's just the one place since they're not actually expected to make money the conventional way.
Yeah.
So yeah, more of Fick is sorry. It says here Fick is targeted with the full force of the sun,
Yeah. The full force of the
which
Northern Spoke, certainly.
yeah, full force of the northern spoke. And I will mention before we get to it that Mahabra is taking a lot of time and effort for fixing their builds from Erewhon's builders, as
Mm-hmm.
well as so.
Yep.
However, despite this, they are still a high meta faction. This, this will be a note for very late in the game. They are a high meta faction still, especially since they're using primarily melee.
Yep. Yeah, melee and
Um,
some other gimmicks like sub vehicles.
yes, especially sub vehicles. We'll go south now, where we will see Uma with the Corse drones. So while while Bale and everything else was going on, Uma has been fighting a Metal Gear Solid underground spy war with actual thousands dead.
Yeah,
With
thousands of
Chorus
spies, not of people, of spies.
of spies dead, and so Chorus got a little help from Event Help for building one of the vehicles for an update.
Yep.
Since they were on low meta, they're now over at medium meta. Uh, this was done by Fally again.
Yep.
Fally cooked a little too hard, and actually, these drones were meant to be killed in one turn. They actually managed. Some of them actually managed to survive and beat
The things
Uma
that we're talking
and
about. Yeah.
Mjolnir, which was a surprise
Yep.
and did lead to again more out of character strife since Event helped this person with building their vehicles as well.
Yeah. But you see, they're gray. They're event drones. They're not just
Yeah.
from these guys.
I will also take us over to Mina or Midway,
Yes.
where one of the so of note here is that there are three
Cities.
cities. Now these all have very similar fonts, but one of them is bricks.
Top one is brick. I think middle one is Mjolnir, and bottom one I think is Fick.
Yeah, because the bottom one is thick, the top one is mid brick, and then
Mm-hmm.
we have Mjolnir. Of note is that thick here has the enrichment,
Yep.
and then we can't see it well in this picture,
But
but
there's a
brick
semiconductor plant
actually
and nuclear
has,
reactor for Midway,
yeah, there's a
or for
level
brick.
4 here and a reactor, which is a lot of investment in such a small city.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I believe it's relatively quiet, save for now the new low meta war of tofu being smushed.
Oh, continuing to be smushed. Note the three
Continuing to
different
be
colors of
smushed, but
blue that's on their
a
land.
lot. Yes. By the way, there are three different colors of blue, and two of them are incredibly similar.
Yeah.
Uh, because we have Krasnar, Sector 7, and Commonwealth of Merlin Romaine. My frogs have just been put over to Tofu because I still wanted to give them a little help as being old friends. But one of my frogs was kept in combat radius still,
Oh
so I
yeah.
believe they get intercepted by an entire cruiser division.
Yes,
Uh,
which is unfortunate.
Unfortunate, you say. They survive, they take damage, they
True.
survive, but the ships crash into the land, which they're not meant to do.
That happens so
So,
much in every season of TPD. Ships
yeah,
hitting
it
land
was a
is just yeah.
yeah. So the damages that they dealt to themselves were not counted. So my frogs took a little bit of damage, but not really a whole lot.
Yep. And also
Uh,
worth noting here is that the capital, the old capital anyways, has been abandoned,
and
and
it's
Tehuipec
now,
is now building up Miami.
yep, Miami is now the true capital of of Tehuantepec.
Yep.
But at this point, Tehuantepec is fighting a medium meta nation of Sector 7 and two low meta nations of Commonwealth and Krasnar. They did get a very big bonus, which is why Miami's so large, from
Bale.
Zenixel dying and giving them one last gift, and also from killing Bale.
Yeah. Yep. The Bale. So when Bale went down, they paid out a lot of money to everyone who had a tower or who had invested in Bale, and Tehuipec I think got the biggest dividend there.
They got the biggest dividends since they actually had the entire city to themselves. And so that was known as the Bale bailout.
Yeah.
It's pretty quiet again over at Uldria and Ionia. It's actually nice to see not just a massive blob over here. And again, turn 13 is actually relatively quiet
Yeah,
in
you would even
regards
call it the
to
calm before
11
the
and
storm.
10.
Well, no, I mean you've still got massive battles going on, but
You still got the massive battles here, but they're all self-contained rather than spread out across a bunch, which is not much better,
yeah,
to be fair.
yeah.
Okay, then we go to turn 14.
14.
So we'll start at Tofu. Um, Tofu at this point wants to start reclaiming Zenixel's previous land, which is why my frogs go over back there.
Yep.
However, they also have the first really big fleet fight of actual ships that we see in TPD
Yes.
between the last defense and Commonwealth.
Yep.
Um,
First, second, first, and third.
yep. Then the Toadies fight Alkonost and the Armored Guards. Alkonost Legion was illegal because they used EMP,
Yeah, one of
which then caused
the
the
EMP
Toadies to
incident.
actually win against the Armored Guards
Yeah.
because the amphibs were bigger than the tanks that they were fighting.
Hmm.
Um, I believe the Tofu fleet dies, but they do a massive chunk of damage, and it was also really cool to see an actual ship fight for once.
Yeah, for sure.
And Mjolnir is built up. I haven't mentioned it before, but Mjolnir over towards Tofu is actually building in Sector 7 land to go kill Chorus
Oh
before
yes,
daring to harm the
Reshao removed
Umas.
earlier.
Yeah. So, and that's also an Uma fleet with them.
Yeah, a couple Uma fleets
So,
actually.
yeah,
A
quite a
they
few.
send a submarine over first, and then they've got their main fleet.
Yeah, so everyone is building up to go fight the Uber bioform by sitting just like a couple meters outside, realistically.
Yep.
So Tofu is still fighting. There's a lot of bad blood going on between Waffle and Parry and BRM. Just a lot of hostilities there. Sector 7 is being chill about it. Question Master, which is Krasnar's leader,
Yep.
has been relatively obtuse to everyone. To Sector 7, to Mjolnir, to Commonwealth, to Tofu.
Yeah.
So, this is beginning to become one of the wars where it's starting to become less cool and more of a drama sort of
Yeah.
thing.
More of a drama thing, and at that point, I, as game master, try my best to get things to just end as quick as possible to get that situation done with.
Yeah, and where I'm event help now, most of my efforts are being focused on a lot of my efforts as event help at this point in time is spy actions and making sure people don't crash out.
Yeah.
So I spent most of my time in Tohuapek and Mjolnir. Uh, Technically Weisfell, Weisvin Commonwealth,
Hmm.
but I am effectively across every chat just trying to make sure people don't crash out.
Yeah, I spent an ungodly amount of time in both seasons one and two, just trying to keep people doing okay mentally.
Yeah, which became my primary role in event help this season. On top of just doing spy actions and helping Raycast with stuff. Um, Again, it's relatively quiet. So we basically hop over towards Mjolnir. Uh, Over to Mjolnir's land proper, where they finally finish off the infestation drones. Kayatari moved forces to go help them, but were too slow and therefore didn't get to do anything.
Yep.
Uh, Kayatari's been effectively not able to participate in any fights in the game because every time they try to go to somewhere, they are literally a turn out of joining anything.
Yep.
This has happened for the Bale fight on turn 10, 11, where they had actually sent a nuclear bomb over there.
Yes, they were a nuclear armed country from the very beginning, and
Yeah,
Never got a great use out of those nukes, to be honest.
they never got a great use out of them ever.
Yep.
So they just ended up paying a lot in potential economic power.
Yes.
And then we finally go towards Fick, where Fick is being consumed.
Yep. Their main area has fallen, and then everyone else dog piles onto Point
It's
Gamma.
Yep, it's just being cleaned up at this point, and Fick is on a ticking clock for its vehicles since the Wall of Ash is, well, it may be nuclear powered, it still requires uranium to fuel it, since it is a large flying wing.
Yeah, it's an arsenal bird, like you might have
Yes,
seen in
carrying a
Project
bunch
Wingman
of
Race Combat.
WMDs.
Yep.
Hmm.
There's also the war at this turn between Rumelia and Krasnar.
Yes, which is
I think it's a one-turn war.
it
Rumelia had
was
a
a
lot of
one turn.
those.
I believe it was a one turn war. It may have been two turns, but I believe it was one turn, and there was again a lot of bad blood between Question Master and Max.
Hmm.
Since there was a lot of talk about missile meta that, missile meta this.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We
Krasnar in
have the
particular
missile meta
up-meted
quote.
some of his craft prior to
Yeah,
that battle.
since Rumelia is mid meta and Krasnot is low. Technically, they're in the mid meta region, but Zaftra and Krasnot are meant to be low meta.
Yeah, and even then, we keep mentioning low and medium and high, but those are general guidelines and not a practice build standard. So
Yeah, these aren't things that you have hard quantities for. And when you're in a zone which is as nebulous as low to mid meta, that means it could mean anything to someone, to be honest.
yep. When
And
I
one of the quickest way that people would quote unquote up meta their craft is to just slap on missiles, since missiles work really well.
Yeah, you put on 20
This is
large missiles, and suddenly your craft is 10 times better.
Yep. You may have to pay 20 times the cost, but it works.
Yeah.
And also of particular note is that in TPD's rule sets, missiles were better here since many people built with the starting tech in mind, and a lot of people made cuts, and by a lot of people I mean everyone, made cuts
Hmm.
for missile defense, since you needed missiles and then missile interceptors as a separate tech, which was locked behind it,
Hmm.
or there was lambs, which required a special resource, which
Yep.
a lot of people didn't have, or there was Sea Whiz, which you had unlocked, which again is another resource, and a lot of people built with the initial tech starting initial tech, and didn't exactly have time to upgrade or make the upgrades look pretty.
Yeah.
Malta is actually one of the few nations that could do this simply because they had so many players.
Very true. Yep. Anything else for this
Uh,
turn?
Brick is being sized up for the level 4 semiconductors at this point,
Oh, yep. They
as
build
Fick is
another
being
one in
cleaned
Blue
up.
River Defense over there.
Since what Brick is doing at this point in time is that they are fluctuating the stock market by what they're doing, and this is incredibly simple. They sell for one turn, they wait one turn, and I believe they sell, buy, sell, because when you sell, it drops.
The
And then when
prices
you
drop.
buy it again, then the prices go up afterwards. But then you get to sell at the higher rate while having more semiconductors.
Yes. To
I'm
fully
sure a member of Brick
clarify,
can, yeah,
the stock price on a given turn is the average of how the market dictates that it should be this turn and what it was last turn. So there's an amount that the market lags behind, which makes it, and because it's related to the last turn, that means that you can do that kind of tactical buying and selling to maximize your profit.
hmm which all Brick was doing was just buying a bunch of level 4 semiconductors. Their entire goal for the game was to make as much money as possible.
Yeah, and they scaled really slowly compared to someone like Erewhon, who was a financial powerhouse by turn 5. But the math that people were
Yeah.
doing showed that by the end of the game, Brick would be even more powerful than Erewhon, or would be very close to it.
Yes, but as of right now, Brick is not as powerful right now.
Yep, and they have nowhere near
And
the fleets
Erewhon,
currently available.
yeah, and Erewhon
Nor
had reason
defenses.
to be worried over Brick, which is what will lead to the next war and also a lot of pain.
Yes.
But that'll do for turn 14.
Yep. Other
Go
notes,
into turn.
another little bounty battle down there, as these guys are continuing to farm money. And then
Yep.
Erewhon does get involved in the.
Oh, we almost didn't mention the bunnies. You're
Yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Erewhon got involved with the
Oh,
bunnies.
and
There's a lot of
UAV.
Erewhon. There's also Brick going out to claim. I believe Brick went to claim some stuff from Sandstorm, but I don't see it. Yeah,
Yeah,
they did.
they're after some resource nodes, uranium and titanium, I think.
Yeah, since again, this is a really rich resource, and originally I was basically selling most of my resources through Brick, and now that I'm gone, you know, and these
Yep.
are guys aren't a customer that they aren't a customer, which is why they're okay doing a war with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that'll be it for turn 14. We're going to 15.
Biggest visible
So,
changes are that Thick got annexed finally, or nearly all their land, and then the bunnies have moved on to the continent there.
yep, and more of tofu has been consumed.
Yes. But now it's just FedCom. Krasnodar and Sector 7 are no longer involved in land conquest.
Yes, but there is a very important note. For some reason, Tehuapec becomes Super Tehuapec
Oh.
because we have the Fist of Family Values, which is a Helldivers reference.
That's what it is?
Yes,
That's
this
funny.
is this is now a Helldivers 2 reference with because the Fist of Family Values is a ship name you can make in that one.
That's funny, okay.
And everything goes towards hyper militarization in that way.
Yep.
My toads over here perish horrifically.
Yep, the toadies there.
Yeah, because Alkanost is now using legal designs and instantly slay my poor, really injured guys.
Yeah.
And then we get a another fleet battle with the Grand Fleet and a second cruiser division
And the third cruiser
with
division
Miami and Fist of Family Values, which is another really big fleet fight. But Tofu Peck
comes out
used
ahead, I
some
believe.
absolutely horrific fortifications in the water, taking a note
Yes.
from Brick. Well, I believe Brick would take a note from them.
Brick had, well, I assume Brick had that plan all along, but it is
Yeah,
a
Brick had that plan
forebearer of
all
things to
along.
come from with Brick.
Yeah, it's a foreshadowing, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
where they used underwater torpedo forts against a bunch of low, again, low tech, low meta designs that didn't have a whole lot of torpedo defense, as far as I'm aware.
Yep, nor
It's just
anti-submarine tech or warfare
yeah,
stuff.
since again they've never built a submarine before. Fedcom suffers heavy damage, and there is poor diplo because at that point Waffle could have pieced out with Commonwealth and ended this war,
But
but
he
due
was
to
very
sheer
stubborn.
bad blood, it would carry on until like turn 19, I believe, this
Yeah, all
combat.
the way to the end, pretty much. And
Yep,
also, Fist of Family Values was a pop-up fleet, and some of Miami sides would probably pop up too. So there were
yep,
annoyances there, even when Fist of Family Values. I think I probably downscaled it by half to make it more fair because it was a pop-up, but still.
yes, you did. Then we go over to Chorus, which everyone and their mother goes to kill.
Yes, everyone is here.
Everyone's here. The Uber Bioform is finally, well, not this turn, I believe. I believe it's next turn is the Uber
Yes.
Bioform.
I think it appears after Drone Node 2 gets destroyed, I believe.
But literally everyone. We have Sot, we have Mahabra, we have
Erewhon, we have Uma,
Erewhon,
we
we have
have
Uma,
Mjolnir.
we have Mjolnir,
Uh,
we have Zaftra,
yep.
we have Ionia, we don't
Yes.
have Aldria, but we do also actually have specifically
Tr-
defectors of
yes,
Zarathun's
there's a
Chosen.
dragon there or something. Yeah.
It's dragons. Basically, everyone in the mother comes to kill them.
Which
Uh,
was somewhat, I think, planned. That
yes.
everyone knew was happening. So.
Yeah, everyone knew it was happening since this is another coalition.
Yep.
Led by Mjolnir again. Castle's Chosen has disappeared from the universe.
Yep.
They finally left
Because
us
he
alone.
didn't like the fact that he had no economy after he lost his entire nation, bombed everyone with unethical weapons of mass destruction, and then got expelled to a little corner of a isthmus.
Yep, just a tiny little corner. And then we get a very cursed combat at midway by Mjolnir. I mean, Sector 7's also, again, lining up another lot of units and forces to go towards Tofu, but more importantly, a lot of people have started building forces up at Midway
Mm-hmm.
since Brick is basic. So this is the last of the thick holdings here at the neutral island, and
Yes.
Mjolnir has sent a bunch of their forces to go hold this for certain, since this is meant to be neutral ground. Brick has not actually been hostile in any way. They've just been building things.
Mm-hmm.
To note, they did build Al's industrial semiconductors, which has
Oh.
another nuclear power plant. It's basically it's just two things: a shed, a nuclear power plant, and semiconductors.
Yeah. And yeah, 100,000 square foot semiconductor fab building.
Yep. Since we can see now that Erewhon is making a move to, well, they're still at Point Gamma, but they are within perfect range of fighting Brick at this point, which they've declared war on last turn, I believe.
Okay.
Since we have Shoot Them First and Ablation Layer lining up for Blue River Defense Facility, New Bond City as well.
Yep.
And they are building more forces with Shoot Them Now.
Over here in the capital. Yeah.
Yeah,
Funny names.
funny
Shoot them
names. And
later. It's probably
Mahabra,
here somewhere.
yeah, Shoot Them Later will be built later. And and we've seen Mahabra is perfectly within range to go anywhere.
Yep.
And over towards the Dust Bunnies, we have a giant fight.
Oh yes, a huge battle at.
Yes, I believe this was the final battle of Sandstorm, since this was a very large fight involving one of the Dust Bunny's characters.
Yes, even including the capital city that has all of the population of the Dust Bunnies.
Yeah, they sent in their entire population of the Dust Bunnies there. I want to state that Tarnish was originally potentially going to build a Doom incendiary cram, which would have evaporated that thing eventually.
That would have been funny.
And on top of that, these capital city did take a lot of damage
It
during
did.
that combat. It was very entertaining to watch, but also quite laggy. And there was a single like M113 just flying around in the background.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much else to put here, other
Okay.
than everyone's happy that they finally killed Chorus.
Yep.
Yeah, and I believe that ends turn 15. We
Okay, on
go
to
to
turn
turn
16.
16,
If we're gonna
where
take a break, now would be the time.
yeah, yeah, we'll have a break. We only casually got through like another 6, 7 turns. I think 6. I could finally have some soup.